Another form of interface in AutoCAD is the pallet. We've seen a couple of pallets so far, and we've mentioned them, but we haven't gone into a lot of detail as to what they are. Many managers and tools are in the form of a pallet. The command line is a pallet. These pallets have tools, commands, or information in them that allow you to manipulate your objects or add to your drawing. One pallet that I always use is the Property Manager pallet. To open it, press the Control key and the number 1 key at the same time. This will open up your Properties palette. It may or may not show up exactly on your screen like I have because I've used it before and I'm always using it. In my typical workflow, I will have the Properties palette open all the time. I almost never close it unless I happen to need more screen space for some reason. But that's up to you. You can do what you want. It's easy to turn off and on. Just press Control and 1 at the same time. Turn it off or to turn it on. So it's very simple to get to. Very easy to access. This palette will show you the properties of any object or objects that you've selected. It also allows you to change the properties of the selected object. So let's pick something. Anything. If you don't have anything drawn, go ahead and draw something, a line, a circle, anything. Once you pick it, you'll see here in the Properties menu that it tells you what it is. By clicking on this arrow, you will also see what you have selected if you've selected more than one object. I can keep selecting things and add to them. Now, it tells me that I have 7 objects selected and that all of them are listed. If I click the arrow, it better defines what's been selected. 1 line, 5 circles, and 1 polyline. The polyline is this rectangle. Now I can get to the attributes for that 1 line, and it tells me my starting and ending vertices, the deltas, their lengths, their area. Now I can unselect these objects by pressing the Escape key, and now nothing is selected. Now the Properties palette tells you your current settings in the drawing. This Properties palette, which we'll go more in depth on later on, has a lot of functionality to it. But all palettes have several things in common. I can dock them or not dock them. I can move them around anywhere I want on my screen. I can close them, open them back up again. I can hide them, and by hovering over them or moving back over, they pop up. And when I start to work somewhere else, they go away, but they're still here. So they don't take up a lot of room, but I can still get to them. I can change their sizes, all that I want. All I need to do is move my mouse over the edge, get the moving arrows, and have at it. I can tell them to stay out all the time. And if I click on the bar and hold it with a left click, I can dock them on the side. Or I can just pull them out again. Now if I auto hide them and then dock them, that's what they'll do. I can right click on and allow the docking or not, or I can just let them go. So you have a lot of display options with your palettes. Another major palette that I want to show you is the Tool palette. Press Ctrl and 3 at the same time to bring it up. This palette, the Tool palette, is full of blocks, hatch patterns, materials, commands, custom script files, etc. It's the main source for your block library, or at least it can be. The Tool palette is tabbed, like the ribbon, to different design genres: architect, mechanical, electrical, civil, etc. This is the out-of-the-box Tool palette. But the Tool palette is extremely easy to customize. Essentially, you're going to right-click and make a new palette and then literally drag and drop things right into it. Commands, objects, etc. We'll talk more about it later. But it's a very useful and a very powerful palette. To use it, just find the object that you want to insert, click it, and then click the point where you want it to go. And you just inserted that object. There you go. There are many objects in here. The mechanical has imperial and metric samples of different shoulder screws, etc., nuts, bolts, things like that. The architectural has different doors and windows, and even plants and some vehicles. There are so many different tabs in the tool palette that you can't see them all. You can see right here in the bottom that there are a little bit showing. Right-click on it, and here are all the possible tabs that you can pick from. As you can see, some of these even have commands in them, like the line, construction, polyline, etc. So you can put blocks, you can put hatch patterns, you can put commands into the tool palette. It's easily customized and very powerful. Another useful palette is the Quick Calc palette. That's a calculator. So you can essentially have a calculator with you inside AutoCAD wherever you go. Just press Ctrl and 8 at the same time. And here it is. It works like any other palette. You can move it around, you can auto hide it, you can collapse it, you can stretch it out, and it has different formats. Your regular number pad, scientific calculator, units conversion, etc. You can show some of the detail or hide some of it if it's too big or too small. We'll take a look at this a lot closer. I just wanted to give you an example of some of the palettes that you can use inside AutoCAD to help you do your job. There are some other palettes available, but their complexity goes way beyond the scope of this video, and we are going to look at some of them more closely later on. But suffice it to say, the palette is another format of a window that you can interact with inside AutoCAD. They can be rearranged in your drawing area, they can be docked or locked into position, or they can just float around and you can move them as you need to. They can hide themselves or they can stay open. You can right click, and remember, pick up on the right clicking here. You can right click on things, get more options to them. You can make the palettes as bars or just whichever you need. If I right click here, I can get a lot more different settings. I can hide them even more or make them completely solid. So when in doubt, right click and use a palette. Use a shortcut window, use more functionality in your command, etc.